What's up, guys? James here. We are here for the first goal reach of the ALTInsider Patreon. Thanks to all of you guys that made it awesome. The 10 awesome people out there in the world that made this happen. I have 6 questions here from the Patrons to ask you today. I do have 10 patrons, only 6 questions. That means some people didn't ask one. So if you want to get one asked for next month, please get those questions in there. You can send me email, james@altinsider.com, Twitter, I'm sure, blah, blah, blah. If you're on the Patreon, I'm sure you know how to contact me. And you know how if you write me something, I'm going to write back to you. So yeah, if you have a question for anything you want to hear about, please send it my way. Without further ado, let's get to your question. So first question comes from, I don't know if I should say your name. I guess I won't. But yeah, thanks for your question. He says, the question is from he says, how big are JRPGs in Japan? So I don't know. It's kind of a tough question to answer, like, give a real, like, yeah, this is how big they are answer, right? But they're pretty big. I mean, you see people playing 3DS, you see people playing their Switch nowadays, and they have the RPGs rolling sometimes. I mean, they're talked about, they're in the stores. You can still buy old ones in retro stores a lot. So yeah, I think they're pretty big for sure. And yeah, it's the same cast of characters, are the biggest ones, right? So Chrono Trigger's still huge here. Final Fantasy obviously is huge. The ones that are huge. There's also some like different kind of style, the ones that we don't quite get in America, like the girls, the more girl-centric ones, if you know what I'm saying. So like the point and click kind of that's not an RPG actually, but the story-based girls. If you go through the right chain of questions, you might see a more evocative picture. Those are much more common than in America, unless America has changed over the 10 years I've been there, of course. But in my opinion, yes, those are more common. But yeah, JRPGs, big in Japan for sure. Next question. From what I've seen, there are many Japanese companies that will only hire people living in the country. If a person is currently living at a Japanese language school on a student visa, would that be a valid alternative to working through a dispatch company or a kaiwa? So if I'm understanding question correctly, you're saying, can they get a job if they have a student visa? Now, are you supposed to? No. Do people do that all the time? Yes. And if you do get a job, usually, if let's say your student visa runs out, if you're doing a good job, of course, that company will kind of help you out with the next visa, right? As long as they do that in the first place, right? If they don't do that at all, you might have to find another place to work because they supply your visa. But so short answer here is people do it. Are they supposed to do it? No. But people do it all the time. And if you really want to do that, I don't recommend it, but it's not like you can't do that until you find a place that will sponsor you for the right visa that you're supposed to be doing. If you're a student and want to work, then you have no choice, right? So you have to keep your student visa if you're being a student. So you got to weigh those options, right? Do you want to have the chance of getting in trouble? I've never heard anyone get in trouble, but it's there, right? So don't just take my advice and just do it. Think about what you're doing. You're doing something wrong, but I've never heard someone get in trouble for it. So take that for what you will. Make your own choice, not James' choice, basically. What's your favorite band? Okay, so my favorite band is Iron Maiden. Not that you asked, but I'll tell you the lore. I first heard Iron Maiden. I was already kind of a metal guy. I like Metallica, kind of, and I like kind of the American kind of metal that was going on at the time. Metallica just released Load, and that was kind of my introduction to heavy music, even though most people would say that's not a heavy record and it's not heavy music. But for me, it was heavy. I remember I listened to my mom's like Ace of Base was big. My mom had that CD. I was like, yeah, Ace of Base, this is cool. Then I heard Load. I was like, oh, well, this is a whole new world. This is something I don't know if I can handle. And then I kind of got the rabbit hole going. And my dad liked heavy music too, so that was kind of the easier way to get into it. But I was at my uncle's house. He had a lot of tapes of metal stuff, and I looked at the covers like, oh my god, they're so scary. Like all these kind of skeletons and stuff, and they're all heavy metal. I was like, I don't know about this. I felt like something was wrong. But for some reason, I saw it was a cover of the Iron Maiden Best Of tape, and that one was cool. I thought that was cool more than scary. And it was Eddie with all these kind of crazy Eddies. Eddie's the kind of mascot for Iron Maiden. He's kind of they put him in stupid costumes and stuff. And I took that tape home with me, and I thought it was the best music I ever heard. It was the first kind of metal, but not like heavy metal. Like I heard that was kind of too much for me. Like Pantera was like, oh, this is too much. But Iron Maiden hit that sweet spot of, yeah, this is good. And that was it. Now the favorite band of all time. Not particularly close either. Next question. What foods do you miss back from home? Good question. I could go for a long way for this one. But yeah, short answer is my favorite restaurant, Red Lobster, for sure. It's always a classic. I used to go there at least once a month. The biscuits alone are worth it, but there's many other things on the menu that you should be checking out if you haven't been there already. So just take my advice and go. Fast food, Five Guys probably. Five Guys is a great one. I think it might be only East Coast, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, hamburgers, too many French fries, basically stuff like that to get you fat in 2 seconds. When I move back to America, I know I'm going to be very fat in a very short amount of time. Hopefully I can, once I get past that first month of, blowing up, I can work to lose the weight I gained, but no promises there. I know when I get back to America, I will be enjoying myself in the food side of things for sure. Next, what non-ALT podcast do you listen to for fun? Well, actually, I don't listen to any ALT podcasts either, except the one. I mean, I don't even listen to my show other than put it together. I listen to it when I edit it enough, so I don't ever listen to the full playback myself. But what a non-ALT podcast do you listen to for fun? I'm kind of boring. I listen to hockey ones, so I like hockey. PDO cast is probably my main listen. A few other hockey casts and speedrunning is obviously something I like a lot. I do have my own speedrunning podcast. I do listen to a few podcasts about speedrunning. Frame Savers is one. If they have a game that's interesting for me, I listen to that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I listen to mainly hockey podcasts when I'm just zone out. I'm actually not a big podcast listener, even though I do have 2 podcasts myself. But they're fine. I think that there's definitely I don't have to commute to work, so I don't have that much kind of good time for listening, right? I went to the gym, I guess I would have time, but I don't do that. So, yeah, I'm not a big podcast listener, but it's usually hockey related or gaming related for sure. Next question: what other Discord channels do you participate in besides the ALTInsider podcast one? So I have my 2, ALTInsider, which is the main, always active, always going crazy, a lot of cool people in there. Discord server, and I also have one for my podcast, my other speedrunning podcast, the Mind Same Pace podcast, which is a little smaller, still growing. Cool guys though, and yeah, most of my other ones are all gaming related. To be honest, I could go through a few, but there's really, what point is that? Games Done Quick, Best of the Nest here. I'm looking here. What else I got there? Super Metroid, Pokemon stuff. There's a lot of gaming related centric stuff. Gaming's my main kind of thing. I don't game that much, but I do do other stuff in the world a lot. I've noticed as I gotten older and have less time. I don't play games myself that much, but I do. I'm surrounded in the world more myself for some reason. I don't know. Last question: what's your favorite Final Fantasy game and why? So mine's probably the one with. I got to look at this. How much I know about it. I gotta get the number. Final Fantasy with the guy that jumps, Cecil, right? Yeah, Cecil. What one is that? I got him confused with the Japan numbers and American numbers are different. Cecil is from Final Fantasy IV in Japan. In America, though, I'm not editing this out, by the way, either, because this is just going in. This is going live. We're going live. That one was cool, and I'll tell you why. There's a story that's cool. Come on, what the hell is it? I can't find it. Final Fantasy Cecil number. What one is that? Final Fantasy IV. So yeah, Final Fantasy V. There you go. Yeah, 4th installment of Final Fantasy. I guess I should say that. But yeah, so that one, I'll tell you why that was a good one. So I got Nintendo Power Magazine, and it had the Final Fantasy thing in there. I never heard of Final Fantasy before. I didn't know anything about it, but I was like, this game looks pretty crazy. It's pretty cool. The Nintendo Power makes every game look cool, but that for some reason that caught my eye. So I got that game. I don't remember how I got it. Somehow I got the money for it and bought it myself. And it has these random encounters in the game. So when you get a random encounter, it goes that scared the shit out of me. And I couldn't play it. I was like, I'm done. I'm done with this. I was like, let's see, it came out in 91, so I would have been, I don't know, less than 10 years old at that time. I was done. It was just the and the zooming in was too much for me. So years later, I went back and played it, and I realized it was cool. I think because I thought I missed out on the chance, maybe added to the fun of it. But yeah, that was definitely that's my favorite one, Final Fantasy IV. Final Fantasy VII, of course, is a good, best music, I think, for sure, Final Fantasy VII. The opera scene is another great Final Fantasy moment for sure. I didn't know it was coming either, so I'm so happy about that. That like so many people now, if they try to go back and play Final Fantasy, they know about the opera scene. But for me, I didn't know about the opera scene, and when the opera scene came, it was like whoa, and that's a different game, of course. I'm thinking about a different game, but for me, the opera scene was awesome. So. I'm getting confused on which game the opera scene was. I'm trying to look myself to check and make sure I say the right ones. But whatever the opera scene was, I played that one live and I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. This is awesome scene. But yeah, that's it. So anyways, I'm probably messed up with my timeline of my lower Final Fantasy there. I haven't played Final Fantasy in a long time. But yeah, Final Fantasy is great for sure. Great. All right, guys. So that's my question this time. Hope you like it. Please give me some more questions next month. This was cool, but it was only 6 questions, so I can do way more. So if you have any question about anything at all, doesn't have to be living in Japan. It has to be anything you want. I will definitely get to it because you guys are that awesome for being one of the ALTInsider patrons. If you're not part of the train yet, you know what you got to do. There'll be links in the YouTube channel below this to get on the ALTInsider Patreon page and the ALTInsider Patreon train of awesomeness that gets these cool events going. The next goal we have is at 25, so we still have a ways to go for that. At 25 will be a bonus podcast episode just for you guys that only you guys can listen to. So that should be cool. But that's it, guys. Hope you guys had a great February. Hello, goodbye, February. We're already a little bit into March, I know, but February's cool. and I'll see you at the end of March for sure. Take it easy, guys.